And good evening. Welcome to another episode of Inside Britball. The good, the bad, the ugly. Arran, me. What less could you want on an evening or a morning? Good to have you with us. We're going to talk today about the Prem. We're going to talk today about the National. We're going to talk today about all things irrelevant. We're going to go down rabbit holes. We're going to lose the point. We're going to end up in a strange place, probably just off the west coast of Wales. Heaven knows. But yeah, there is a west coast of Wales. Aaron quickly doing some geography and he said, it's not. Yeah, could have got that badly. Joined by Arran. Go ahead.
Good evening. Yeah, there is a west coast of Wales. I go there quite a lot with the little one, actually. Bournemouth is a particular favourite of mine. I haven't been there for a bit, mind you. We've got lots of paintings of North Wales on my walls as well. So
really? Let's take a nice little... Is this us doing a kind of like making things up to the Welsh people again, still 3 weeks in now?
No, because if you remember, so I used to live in North Wales, so I'm practically Welsh. I'm not, but I lived in North Wales for a couple of years, and I do have there's a particular artist based on the island of Anglesey called Janet Bell, who does all paintings of in and around Wales. So I've got a painting of hers of Red Wharf Bay, which is on Anglesey, and then a painting of hers of the Menai Bridge.
My goodness, this podcast has already taken a cultural turn that nobody expected. Well, tune in next week. We're going to take you through the works of Jack Fitriano and other great Scottish artists too. Hey, mate, that's very highbrow. For the benefit of anyone who's Welsh watching this show, seriously, if we haven't dug out by now from 2 episodes ago in terms of mildly insulting you, we're going to go there tonight in terms of trying to build up the piece of card. But yes, anyway, Fishguard. That's it. My knowledge of the lovely.
That's very far from me. That's the southwest, isn't it?
There was a New Year's Day many years ago. I had to drive from Fishguard all the way up the Welsh coast and then across Chester way. I was just coming back from Waterford in Ireland. I caught the ferry across. Most beautiful drive I've ever had in my life. Absolutely.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Anyway.
I've done that drive a lot. Not all the way down to Fishguard, though, just to Aberystwyth. I'll stop there in the middle of the West Coast.
So 2.5 minutes into your flag football podcast that you've been waiting for 2 weeks for, we've covered the West Coast of Wales. Stunningly beautiful. Haven't been there, we recommend it. Possibly better than the podcast. You
can listen to the podcast whilst driving around it.
And there you go. There's the segue. It's a beautiful one indeed. But yes, we are actually here in some mannerism to talk about Nationals of Prem. And obviously with you, the viewer and the listener, we hope to be able to navigate our way through that over the next, let's say, less than 1 hour of your life. I know we always say this, but let's go for less than 1 hour of your life. A lot going on since we last spoke. The last podcast being the Div 1. It's been a little while since we talked Natty. And we do have a limited amount of Prem to talk about, Arab, because obviously the Northern Prem didn't play. It was a bye week for them.
Yes, was a Northern A Prem.
Northern A, A Northerner Prem was on a bye. But we do have lots of interesting action that went on with North Prem B, which was hosting 2 locations, as was the National, as you discussed before. Interesting split outs and how these game days work. But let's go for it. Let's avoid the news. Let's avoid anything interesting. Let's catch up now because we've lost that time in Wales. Let's bring ourselves back to the gloomy lands of Albion, and kick off, if you will, straight in at the deep end with the National Division North, which was split over 2 locations, as we said before, in the last game day. It was very interesting. One of them going off in Manchester, hosted by the Crows. Simultaneously, another one going off in Glasgow, hosted by the Hornets. Shown as one on this table, obviously, for your viewing pleasure. But first off, straight away, revenge of the Hornets. Having taken that early beating from the Oilcats, they went straight out and set things right with a 54-6 walloping. What did you make of that, mate?
I mean, to be fair, the Aberdeen Oilcats have struggled since that win, haven't they? And I think this just almost kind of shows how much the difference that they've had since that win against the Hornets. So obviously, I mean, fair play to the Hornets. It is a stonking win, that 54 points to one touchdown conceded. Yeah, fair play. So I mean, they've had a good day all around, really, haven't they, in terms of the Hornets in this particular game day. So,
yeah, it's a bit of snakes and ladders going on. So we've seen the Hornets climbing their way up, going from, I think, fourth to have them down as after the end of week one in the combined table, up to second place, which is arguably kind of where they should be about, smoking themselves, kind of dominating the north and the south. And then on the other side, slipping down the snake from I think, seventh position to a lowly 10th, and on the cusp of that 11th, 12th zone that you don't really want to be in, the Aberdeen Oilcats. But probably a little bit of vengeance being played out here as well. I mean, that doesn't look like you put yourself off a bit and then coasted because you had a few more games that day. That's just like, go out, score again, which, yeah. I think our good friends on the HNC podcast, I haven't actually caught that show yet, but I'd like to put that against the other show and just see how Cameron maybe turned this one around and bet a little bit. That panned out. That's a listener for sure. Anyway, yeah, that's happened. But then, obviously, the Oilcats, as we can see to the viewer anyway, bounced back with 29 points. Unfortunately, not beating Broncos, but they were able to rack up almost 30 points. And it's always disappointing when you score near 30 points on offense and you somehow lose a game still by, what was it, 18 points. I mean, that must have been a heck of a game for scores, that one. Aberdeen Oilcats 29, Grangemouth Broncos 47. Here's one for you, mate. Do you want to chew over the morsels of that?
Yeah, I think in terms of Aberdeen, I think that result there with the Grangemouth Broncos, I think it probably typifies where they are at. So it's clear they can score points and that they're not really struggling to score points, but they are shipping them. So if you think of, I think is it 5 games, they've conceded around about 179 points, which is quite a lot in this division. I'm going to say in this division because obviously when you start talking about Div 1, that's nothing. 79 points to ship, but it's quite a lot in the national. So I think it's a bit of a struggle for them, if I'm honest. We'll see how they get on. Hopefully they get better so they're more competitive and that league gets more competitive, because I know we'll touch on the tables later, but as we combine the tables in terms of the north and the south, you obviously want to try and get some sort of even split in terms of north and south, but I'm not quite sure we've got that just yet.
No, I think I hear you there. Fairly dominant day in terms of, it was the Hornets day. Grangemouth did put up a good game though against Glasgow in the last game of the day. We were 40-18. You know, within 12 points, that's not much to be out of it by. Obviously, I didn't see the game personally. You don't know how these things play out, but that suggests a tight enough game to make it interesting. You know. Yeah,
sorry, I was talking about the Aberdeen game. Not realising we'd moved on, so that's my.
Oh yeah, I'm beating you for an hour tonight, mate. But I'm doing it. I'm like someone hour. I'm like that marathon runner in the London Marathon a few weeks ago who broke the big milestone. I'm going for it. This is going to be less than an hour. I am committed to this. So I was scampering on like a useful version of myself. But no, okay. Yeah, moving on. Obviously, your listener, apologies. Glasgow Hornets 40, Grangemouth Broncos 18, the last game of the day. Grangemouth making a good stand by the looks of it against the Hornets, but the Hornets just clearly overpowering them. 94 points in the day in offense.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive over 2 games, right? You know,
it is, and again, you know, if we're looking at the Hornets in terms of where are they at in terms of the competition, I think I'm going to put it out there, I think they are the most dangerous team, including, you know, when you combine the two. I know London Smoke are having a good season. We'll touch upon that later on, but I genuinely feel that they are the most dangerous team. So, I mean, they're blowing teams away. So, you know, I think they've played 5 games, but yeah, they've scored 224 points and 66 conceded.
that week one loss to Aberdeen possibly poked the bear.
Yes.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if that didn't, I'm pretty sure that everyone else might have, by winding up the Hornets that week, by taking a pop at them on various social platforms and podcasts. But either way, they're lighting it up now. So, right. Well, meanwhile, and I'd like to say in a sunny Manchester, but they couldn't have picked two more rainy cities, really, could they? Glasgow to have one, Manchester to have the other. It's like, there's no Hollywood in any of that. But meanwhile, down in Manchester, the first really good opportunity to have a Crows-Titans game of the year on home turf, where neither one of them had to really commute a million miles. Titans looking absolutely dominant with a 38-12 win. Taking the wind out of some of that early week one sales that we saw the Crows setting off at a pace with. But Titans gave them a right good thumping in the Manchester derby.
Yeah, and I think these two, when you start to look at like mid-table, which, let's be honest, that's where they're hovering at the minute, really. I think these two are two unpredictable teams, and I think we will see more results like this that might flip, as the season goes on, the game days go on. I think we'll see unpredictability, I think, with these, as we've seen so far.
Unpredictability is the word of the game day, because then you've got the Edinburgh Outlaws previously sitting in 12th spot, 12th out of 12, coming out of week one, just having a right good crack at the Manchester Titans and knocking them off 38-19. I mean, I don't know what's happened there, but the Outlaws went on to have a fairly decent game. They also beat the Crows in day. So you've got this team that's travelled from miles away, coming down to Manchester, just getting right in about it with the Manx and turning them both over. Interesting. What do you make of that? What do you think Edinburgh had? If not, indeed, Weetabix for their nourishment that morning.
I still think they're extremely unpredictable. I mean, taking nothing away from that result against the Titans, that is a good result. But then, a tight game with the Manchester Crows, they've still conceded, in terms of net points, they're still 103 minus on the net. So they're conceding nearly double what they score. So I think there's definitely a bit of work to do, but certainly the offense didn't struggle in this game day, did it?
Oh, I mean, it's quite a ton of fortunes, really, when you compare it to week one. Good on you, Edinburgh. You've certainly not rolled over there and taken you. And I think, too, with the new national structure, with that table of 12, it must feel like a really lonely place when you're sitting in 12th place on that. It's like you've got everything. You've got every reason to push onwards and upwards. How good on them. They managed to get themselves, they lifted themselves out of that spot as a result of this game day. They then went on, after beating the Titans 38-19, Edinburgh then went on to have a good bash at the Crows. 39-34, much closer game. Good bounce back by the Crows, but still, Edinburgh just steamrolled them by the full-time whistle. Steamrolling's a bit harsh. It's 5-point spread. But they ate them, let's say, at the very least. So old Rike was out on an Ike in South Manchester. That means something to somebody Scottish. Okay.
Or you could say the Outlaws shot down the Crows.
There we go. Yeah, there we go. Firearms are more effective than, obviously, Olympic gods and flying animals. There you go. Firearms win. Yeah. Right, okay, that's an interesting one. I'm going to do my usual geekish stat before we move off the north, which has been very good. Dominated by Glasgow and Edinburgh. So the two cities of the Central Belt, setting out their stalls that day and leaving everyone else crying in their wake. Here's my little geeky stat. 56.1 average points per game in Natty North, which is not bad when we hold that up against what we know already about Div 1, which means that it's not really that low score. It's very prolific. I think in the overall breakdown of structures that I have in my mind, somewhere at the back of my mind, I think that makes this the second most explosive conference in all of NFFL Britball, after obviously Division 1 North A, which everyone knows is where the real offensive football is played. So there you go.
So what's the average points conceded then? I'm going to put you on the spot now. Have you got that stat?
Oh, man, do you know what? You can make me bake that one up now.
If you haven't got it, that's fine. The only reason why I asked that is, so is it that the offense and that it is explosive, or is it that defense is and needs a bit of work to do in that league? That's all I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to get at.
I think you've got something there. I think you've got something. I mean, I could run the stats just now. I do have an extremely helpful table, which has been shared by the wonderful Paul Lebet, who's hardworking and I believe in Whistler right now, standing on the side of a mountain wrestling bears, because that's what he does when he's trying to get away from the NFFL, because it's more friendly.
They're taller than most of the bears there.
Yeah. Right, so 841 points conceded so far in the National North. I can't really compare that to anything apart from the South, where they've conceded 1,067 points so far.
Right, okay.
In which case, shall we go to the slightly less defensive Natty South and take a look at how that looks?
What a segue.
What a segue, dude. There you go. And your favourites, straight off, Canada Hurricanes, or not your favourites, but your early shout.
They are my early shout, yes.
Taking care of business.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, they are. And again, their overall record is 5 wins to 1 loss. That 1 loss will obviously hurt them a little bit here. Where is it on this thing? Oh, it's right. No, where is it? There in the middle, 26. So Cardiff Hurricanes 26, London Smoke 34. So that's what's hurting their record. Will that hurt them later on? We'll see. I think they've still got to play each other again. I think so. We'll see whether they can turn that round. But they're still, being honest, they're still strong in my eyes. They're evenly balanced. You look at it, they've got plus 54 in terms of their net points, which suggests, I mean, you never know the context behind that. It could be a lot of defensive goals, etc., etc. But if you just look at it from a numbers perspective, that suggests that they're quite an evenly balanced team. So, yeah, they're just not dominating games, which is making me feel a little bit uneasy about my early pick. But I'm going to stick with it, because I do think they're a solid team.
No, stay true to. I mean, to be honest with you, there isn't, like you say, the diff is only 54 points right now between their offense and their defense across all the games that they played this year. But they're winning them. They just hope that it doesn't come to tiebreaker.
Exactly.
But yes, as said, knocked off by the London Smoke in a close one. 8 points difference. That's a nothing game. That would have been a hard thing. Let's go through this table. So we've got the Hurricanes, first of all, beating the Neptunes 27-22. Very good. Neptunes, very competitive team. Great game of football, undoubtedly. Next up in the hockey, though, we have the Chichester Sharks, which is the one that we always love to pronounce. Taking on London Fire. Chichester running out 27-19 winners of that game. Fire continuing to have a bit of a tough time, really, to be honest with you. Close one later on in the day against the Neptunes that went the wrong way for them. And then a real hammering at the end of the day by London Smoke. I think plus 30 points over them, despite them scoring 38 points. I mean, what the heck happened there? London Smoke, do you have a defense? Seriously, I mean, we've established you've got a great offense, but like literally, what's going on there? Shall we maybe just spend a bit of time dwelling on the London battle at the bottom of the table the viewer can see right now before we then skim back up, because that looks like the game. London Smoke 68, London Fire 38. What more do you need to do? Almost 40 points, and you're still getting beat by 30.
Well, obviously, the London Fire team will know the London Smoke team very well. They'll train together, etc., etc. So I would say that obviously they know their strengths and weaknesses and will have played to that a little bit. And I think maybe, and I'm making a wild assumption here, which could be wrong. If it's wrong, please don't shoot me. it's shoot me down, maybe pop a comment in or something like that. Any interaction's great. But I would suggest that maybe the difference between the two teams, and I'm probably calling out the obvious here, is just the ability of the players on smoke versus the ability of the players on fire. So no tactical kind of advantage. It'll just be down to player ability, I think.
Yeah, no, I think you're probably right. And if you think about training regime, you've got multiple clubs in the same stable, if you will, or not clubs. I mean, multiple teams in the same club. Ultimately, you've got a lot of things in terms of you've got your depth chart, and that then seeds your teams out and how you do things. Then you've got possibly hand-me-down playbooks. I'm not suggesting that's the case, but I do know that having a limited experience after now and certainly seeing it in other clubs, your upper team will have a playbook, and then the next season that'll be cascaded down. So, there is that possibility too that Smoke not only had the advantage maybe of players, but possibly a little bit of insight in terms of what fire we're going to run. But hey, all the same, hell of a game of football. I mean, that's a hell of a game of football.
Yeah,
what's that, 106 points? Yeah. What a joy. Okay, right, let's come back up the order. So we got the Chichester Sharks beating Fire, and then we went down a rabbit hole, obviously.
Yeah.
Let's pop back out of that with London Smokes beating the Reading Devils. And again, a very tight game, 7 points. Smoke win 32-25 against the Devils, who a lot of people like. A lot of people got a lot of good stuff to say about them Devils. Go on.
Yeah. And I, the same. They're always my sleeper team, the Reading Devils. I think they're a solid, strong team. And I think they're pretty consistent generally season by season. They're always there in the playoffs. I always remember them there in the playoffs, at least in my head. So, yeah, I think they're a good sleeper team to keep an eye on. But I can understand why people like them and fancy them to do well.
But tragically, Charles Dickens, I think, isn't it? Is it Indy, the famous dude from Reading, who talks about going to London where the streets are paved with gold?
That's far too cultured for me. That
and getting well, there you go. So with his backpack in his back, he went to London with the streets of paved with gold to the Fire home day and got an absolute whooping. I came home bruised and beleaguered. No, that's not true. Smoke only beat you by 7 points, Reading Devils. You are absolutely great. Lots of people like you. Clearly, later on in the day, you got that in between your teeth because you took it out in the Cheltenham Neptunes, beating them 50-13. And if that wasn't enough, the Chichester Sharks got their fins cut off 41-6 by those said Devils. I don't know why I think Brian Ferry comes from Reading, but correct me if I'm wrong, please, in the comments. I can't get enough of Brian Ferry at the moment. It's stuck in my head.
I don't even know who Brian Ferry is, Nick.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Roxy Music. You heard of Roxy Music, like the 1980s?
Oh, vaguely. I like the 80s, but not Roxy Music.
Hey,
I've heard of
seriously?
them. I heard of it, or them, or whatever they are, but no.
Right. Everyone listening to this podcast right now, just pause for a second, go to Spotify, right? Listen to Love is the Drug, right, by Brian Ferry and Roxy Music. Come back to this. I've just become cooler. Thanks for coming back and joining us. I'm telling you.
I'm not sure about the cool bit, Nick.
Well, maybe
I become cooler.
Well, I doubt I've become cool, but I've certainly got a varied and developed taste in music. Developed means you're old. But yeah. Anyway, right. So Brian Ferry, if he is from not there, Charles Dickens possibly also. Reading Devils, we do love you, irrespective of those two wonderful musical literary likes. The Cardiff Hurricanes, the game against Smoke we talked about before, the 8-point difference game. That could be an interesting one to see the reverse fixture on. You're absolutely right. One to watch. I think Cheltenham Neptunes got a chance to get their own back a little there with London Fire. Looks like they used that as their opportunity to offload, and that was their one win of the game. The Neptunes winning their 35-27. And again, really tight game. Lots of really tight games in this stack. Do you think? I mean, London Fire is going to struggle. In all fairness, by the looks of things, in terms of so many good teams in there. Devils, Hurricanes, Smoke. I mean, it's brutal. South Natty I think it's a brutal conference. You know?
Yeah, I do. But I think you're right. I think London Fire are going to struggle this year. I mean, if you look, I mean, they got put out by the Fire got put out by Cheltenham Neptunes like that. God, this is terrible. Sorry.
No, it's not. Mate. It's not. It's not because the Neptune's water doused the Fire.
Exactly. But on a serious note, I think the Cheltenham Neptunes are also struggling this year so far. Anyway, and I think obviously them beating London Fire, I think almost like gives us an inkling to what that end of the table might look like. So I think London Fire is struggling.
Very insightful, considering the fact I've got to the listener and the viewer. I'm cheating because just off screen here, I've got a really wonderful spreadsheet that Paul Levette shared with all sorts of analysis and things. And somehow you called that, and you're absolutely right there. Neptune are sitting in 11th place and Fire sitting in 12th place on the table. So either you've got a super brain or you've got a little cheat sheet there. But that was
I've definitely got a cheat sheet.
All right, okay, fine.
I've done my work, my research.
Right. Well, anyway, so there you go. That was obviously the battle at the bottom of the table. Conversely, we shoot back up. We see Hurricanes 33-14 win against Chichester Sharks before the Devils gave that good old spanking of the day to Cheltenham Neptunes 50-13. Not too much to chew over in the back. The results you would expect to see, I think, when we talk about placements in the tables. I think the one thing that maybe stands out to me is Sharks, who are sitting in 7th place, playing the Neptunes. The Devils, apologies, who are sitting just one place above them in 6th place. That seems to be quite a chasm. 50-13 for two teams separated in the table by one place. I think there's a lot of work for Neptunes to make up there, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Yeah, and you think about the difference, you look at the difference in terms of the table. I know we'll get to the tables later, but as we're on it, in terms of the difference, Reading Devils are plus 72 net points. Chichester Sharks are minus 39. So there's a big swing there, big swing difference between the two.
Yeah. And that seems to be, I think that's the watermark that runs through the South right now.
Yeah, I would agree.
Anyway, interesting anecdotal. More points per game on average in the South than the North, not just because we talked about the defence conceding over 1,000 in the combined table, but 59.3 points you'll see in a typical South game. Again, really high scoring. So really, there's something good going on there. This is interesting because if I'm not incorrect, the logic behind the points conceded as a tiebreaker was to avoid teams running up scores on each other, to avoid that. But it seems like teams, I've kind of thrown all caution to the wind. I don't really care how many they give up. I'm just going to keep throwing my offense back on the pitch, which is quite an interesting one. I think there could be some tactical football later on in the year if people want to start to, in this division anyway, so this conference, minimise those points conceded. If you think you're looking at a tiebreaker situation, just kill a game when you get in front. Don't give up that extra touchdown,
Yeah, and just play it safe, exactly that. But as you say, some of these results here suggest that that's not what teams are doing.
No, quite the opposite, which is great. Power to the people. Anyway.
It's great for us. It's great for us. Might not be great for them when it comes to the end of the season. So,
well, there is that, and I think it could be interesting. There could be a few, what ifs when we get to the end. We think about those games that you maybe went for 68 London Smoke. I'm not suggesting London Smoke, it didn't struggle, but those games you went for 68, but that meant you were getting your offense on and off the pitch so much, so your defense was out there giving up the 8 points. It can be like that, right?
And I think the good thing with the national division, at least there's the big super weekend where teams will play each other. So if you look at the Prem, there's no cross conference. So that's right, isn't it? There's no cross conference in the Prem.
Yeah, not up north anyway. Yeah,
which renders the head-to-head tiebreaker completely useless when you're using a combined table, which is what we're going to be doing. As for the playoff qualification. So when you do that, it's basically win percentage, average points conceded. the tiebreakers and then so things like that. It doesn't matter so much in this because head-to-head will count for something. But it's, yeah, I know we're going down a rabbit hole again.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Look, it's a valid point because I think the other issue, and I'm going to go there, the other issue with the North without cross-conference is because you have that imbalance of conference sizes. A win counts for different percentages in North A to North B. So there's a couple of things that aren't right. You know, you don't get that kind of netting out in terms of having cross-conference head-to-heads, etc. You also don't get that in terms of what a win's worth. You know, you lose a game in North A, that's going to hurt you a lot more than losing a game in North B. It just is, which creates a kind of a potential conflict point at the end of the season when people are saying, well, how did I have a better year than you, but somehow I got hurt by 2-3 beats? And that's stopped me from getting a shot at a playoff. I think this will come back in a lot of different forms. It could come back. There's permutations. But shall we not? Let's not do that, because for the listener, the frequent listener to this show, you're like, right now, eyes are rolling back your head. Oh my days. I agree with you. Please.
We will move on from it, and let's not mention it again until it actually becomes relevant at the end of the season. But the point being is that we're saying it because when it comes to the end of the season, I think you will see how relevant it is and why we were talking about it so much.
Yeah.
But let's wait and see until the end.
Let's wait for a big old fat "I told you so" in several months from now. Right?
What is that? Right. Can I use a swear word? Have you ever seen that? Like,
are you doing this because I'm editing this week? Is it because I'm going to have to know to wait?
No.
It's the first time I've ever edited the show.
we can have one swear word, but there's that all. I think it was from Bottom, and it was Adrian Edmondson, who. It's a meme where he's looking like this with his hands like this, and then he goes, "There's been another fuck up." I think that's what we'll be like. Hopefully not, and I genuinely hope that we're not like that, and don't have to be like that. But I just. Anyway, let's move on.
No, it's fine. I'm just thinking the AI program that runs in the back end of Spotify just put a little E next to this podcast now because of that.
It's like one swear word.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. It only takes one. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, Boston was the swear word where I come from. But let's go. Right, we are now going to straight to the Prem North B, and B is not for Boston. B is for B. And it was held in two different locations. First of which, how did that go the wrong way? First of which, thank you very much, in Waza, where we had Warrington Revolution hosting the teams to the west of the North Bay. So you got in there, you got the Serpents, you got the Revolution, you got Wigan Bandits and Salford Scorpions. Obviously, they're the two teams that dropped down to make this group against the two teams that came up. In the Serpents and the Revolution, and straight away we started to see some things that changed the table structure straight out the bat, and there was an absolute belter of a game apparently between the Westline Serpents and Warrington Revolution. I got this off first hand off Nick Carew from the Serps after the game, and this was a close game. This was a very, very, very tight game, very contentious finish. You got there 5 points separating two teams, almost over 100 points in the game. Was it? No, 99 points in the game. What a game of football! I know, no disrespect to Wigan or to the other teams in here, but if we just focus in on this one first of all, because this was a grudge match. These are two teams that played each other last year in Div 1, and both went up, coming together for the first time, having a head-to-head. Serpent sitting high in the table, and Warrington rocking up and taking the legs from them. That was a game of football, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Warrington Revolution are inconsistent, and as you'll see from the Salford score, who aren't doing too bad themselves, to be fair to them. But I don't know whether the West Lancashire Serpents, I think, are doing really, really well. As you say, sitting high in the table, they're having a good season. I think they might regret that. I don't know the context behind the results. You alluded to that finishing in contentious circumstances. I don't know the context behind it. But looking at it from the face of it, I think the West Lancashire Serpents will be kicking themselves a little bit on that.
All right.
But fair play to Warrington. I mean, Warrington are a seasoned team. They've been around a lot. They've been up there in the top levels for quite a bit. I would probably say your team. I don't know if that's fair or not, but certainly my time in and around Flag, I would say they've been a bit of a yo-yo team. But that is a great result for them. Obviously, they're just letting themselves down against Salford Scorpions, who had a good day as well.
But that is it. I mean, it's that I think that was Revolution's game of the day. I think it's a fair comment what you said before. I think they could be accused of being a bit laissez-faire, and I say that with all respect, all good mates with Keats and those guys, the great players, the great team. But finals day last year, or not finals day, last game of the season, everything to play for. They turn up. We're thinking we've got a game against them. We're like, oh, it's going to be a real. Two of them have gone playing golf. Quarterback and your starting wide receiver. We're off playing golf that weekend. You're like, really? Finals day. I think on the finals, I think they didn't want to qualify. I think they I think jokingly, not even jokingly, I think they were trying to lose a game in finals day, which they accidentally ended up winning.
Leeds a couple of years ago.
Yes,
I was there. Yes, I was there. I saw it.
You gotta love them. I mean, you've literally gotta love them. Love them. Conversely, Serps really, really up for it this year. You know, bit of a chip on the shoulder because they didn't qualify by natural cause, but got there in the end. I think that game of football. I'm going to put this out here. Next time they face each other, those scoreline split. I think it's going to be crazy scores again, but I think it flips.
Yeah.
I think it flips.
Yeah, me too. But yes, I mean, again though, you know, Salford Scorpions, 2 good results there from them, which I haven't seen and I haven't looked at. But I've got Salford Scorpions around. Are they 5th in the table or something like that? So have they flipped and turned their?
Scorpions have gone from 10th up to 5th, which is great.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna gloat over the fact that the Serpents were in first place and now they're in 3rd place, being leapfrogged by the Border City Centurions, who didn't even play, didn't even have a game, had a bye week, went up the table. I mean, this is the logic that we live under.
Average points conceded.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. Didn't even play a game. Stayed in bed that morning, went up a place on the table. Fantastic. Great dream. And lovely, woke up. Better team than went to bed the night before. Huntsman also took advantage of that, going up from 2nd to 1st. We'll go into that table shortly, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. But I think Scorpions, Salford Scorpions are sitting now in 5th, jumping up in 10th place. However, sitting in 10th place now are your Wigan Bandits.
Yes.
Difficult day at the office. I think, to be fair, looking at that first game and also the Salford game, great team Wigan. Sure, they've got more in them, but Serpents walloped them good and early. It was a 33-27 start to the day. Not wallop, that's ridiculous. It's a 6-point spread. Beat them, okay? Just beat them. But then it went and got slightly worse later on when they played Salford Scorpions. They lost that one by 20 points, 33-13. So Wigan definitely taking a bit of a tumble. Not a huge drop, 9th place to 10th place in the overall table, but all the same, trending in the wrong direction. I'm sure they'll want to pick that up as we head into the next round, you know?
Yeah, and again, you know, talk about Warrington Revolution being a seasoned team, so Wigan Bandits as well. So I've no doubt they've got the ability and the people behind it to turn that around.
Agree, absolutely agree. And Salford Scorpions, as you said before, finishing the day off by beating Warrington 26-20. Possibly Warrington must have been blown out after that Sevens game. Not saying Salford wouldn't have beaten them either way, but all the same, you're not going to put up 52 points, concede points to them, and then be as fresh as a daisy. It's your next game. That's yeah. I don't think they travel with a big squad either. That's the thing about Warrington. They all, you know, they're all grafters. A small squad. They work hard. You know.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that I'm just trying to remember the times where I've seen them playing, and I said that it was in Leeds that in finals. It wasn't actually. I think it was Bradford technically, but because I got a speeding ticket leaving that, I was too busy eating my KFC while driving along Chain Bar Junction and got a speeding ticket. My own fault. Shouldn't have been eating my KFC while driving and not concentrating, so I deserved it. But yeah, I remember it being. I think it was Bradford. Anyway.
Did you take the driver awareness course, or did you take?
I did. Yes, I did. So yeah, I did.
Did you regret that and wish that you just taken the points by the end of it? Because I did one of those ones, and by the end of it, I was like, I wish I'd just taken the points. I'm never going to get that day back in my life.
Oh no, I'm a seasoned pro. Sadly, I've done that many.
Welcome to the Inside Britball podcast, where we frequently break the law when it comes to driving cars. No, but seriously, yeah.
I've got a big pickup truck now, so I can't speed. I've got rid of my sports jag.
Well, I've done well. I've been a very boring driver for many years, and I picked up some crazy points and had to attend one of those courses. And man, it was awful. The course was like worse than I would have just taken the 3 points. Had I known the content of the course was going to be that bad, I would have taken the 3 points. And the only other time before that, I was stopped for considerable speeding. It was New Year's Day over Shapsum. I was the only car on the road, though, so the policeman was very kind and generous. But I was speeding a lot. In fact, humorously, he pulled me over at the side of the road, came over, knocked on the window and said, "Having problems taking off, Wing Commander?" Which I thought was literally the funniest thing. Right, back on course. Right, so that was it. That was the spread in the Warrington game. So in the Warrington game, we've seen everyone kind of knocking off everyone a bit, apart from the Bandits who struggled on the day. But otherwise, Search won a game, lost the game. Revolution won a game, lost the game. Salford won 2 games. So interestingly, the Scorpions managed to get themselves from 10th catapulted to 5th place and are now in hot contention. So, shall we take a look and see what went on the other side of the Pennings?
Yeah.
That's almost like a kind of, that's a fait accompli, isn't it? Huntsmen were, I think, playing host this time. They had Manchester over there in Sheffield there. And I'm not going to say the stupid thing I did about Sheffield Iron last time, because you correctly pointed out that Iron is indeed steals 90% iron or something like that, which I think, okay. But the Huntsmen were certainly made of platinum, if you want that to be a cheesy segue.
I don't get the link between Huntsmen, man.
Well, just rare metals. Rare metals,
Right,
like platinum's more expensive than steel. And by 4 points difference, they edged them out in a 51-47 humdinger. Again, looks like the Huntsmen took that one right to the wire. That could hurt the points conceded this year, because it did have changed the table to send them to the top, sure. But at the same time, too, suddenly I think there's a 1 point difference conceded between them and said Order City Centurions black team. If he didn't play, and again, narrowed the margin at the top with other folk. Yeah, interesting. And
definitely interesting.
Huntsmen beat the Titans B, though, 44-13. Solid result. Beat Sheffield, took care of business in a very, very tight one, 51-47. And then the game that everyone was waiting for, I obviously to see how that would net out between the other two. Sheffield still rose to challenge and put away the Bees 40-28. Difficult weekend in general for Manchester teams. If we think about difficult day for the Tridents in Div 1, difficult day for the Bees in Prem, difficult game for the Titans. Contact, I think, he took a defeat at the same weekend. I think.
Did they?
And please, they did. Yeah, they did.
Oh,
so,
dear.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think this was the only time I've seen the Titans lose their slate of games in a weekend ever. Or did they? I don't know. I might have to double check that, because the Homer's going to be all over this in a rash.
Yeah.
Homer,
if you're listening, you're in free fall, mate. No, I'm joking.
He'll be swearing and there'll be ranting. There'll be a TikTok viral video that gets him banned again. Yeah.
Yeah, there'll be a few choice words next time he sees me. No, I'm joking. But you're right in terms of there is a pattern there. I'm not reading anything into it. I think it's just an unlucky weekend. I think, unlucky series of games. So, Yeah, I mean, for me, Leicester though, I know that obviously the Centurions Black are doing well, but it's hard. There's an unknown ceiling there for me with Centurions Black. So for me, I've got Leicester as the benchmark team at the minute.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more. That's a team good enough to play in the Nationals. I played them first-hand experience. That's a team who are good enough to not just play in the Nationals, but compete. They'd be above half of those teams without even blinking. So, Huntsmen are absolutely the team to beat, I think, still in the Prem, and that is reflected in the tables, which we'll come on to. But before we get there, let's head to the sunny south, which we did in reverse order last time. So if anyone in the south is sitting there going, "Oh, we're always last," you weren't actually. Last time we started in the south and we worked our way up north. This time we're going to head down towards the south, and we're going to take a look at the South Prem A, which was held in Norwich, known for Alan Partridge and various other things.
Uh-huh.
I'm not going to we should have done that. Why did I have to spell it out to the listener? We could have just gone hosted by Norwich. Anyway, sorry, Norwich. Please don't thump us when you see us at a game, the finals thing, hopefully.
Isn't it also home to or certainly where Stephen Fry is on? National treasure. Stephen Fry, I'm pretty sure he's there.
He is, yeah. He was also the honorary dean at Dundee University when my sister was head of the student union, and she became mates with him. She was president of the SU, and she got taken out for dinner by him once. Apparently, really lovely bloke. Yeah. Well, not apparently, clearly a very lovely bloke. But then we got.
What about Delia Smith?
And she's Norwich. Yeah,
she
Norwich Football Club, isn't she? She didn't she keep them afloat?
Yeah, let's be having you.
Yeah,
she'd had a few goals on the sauce. Oh, for God, we're digressing.
Hey, there's so much. We could. I feel like we mock Norwich, but really, in all reality, it's all pretty much going on there. And it certainly was reflected by their flag football team, who on the day put up 3 convincing wins: 52-6 against London Spark, 55-6 against VPP. And just in case you thought there was a pattern forming there, well, you'd be absolutely wrong, because the last game was 31-27 against London Rebels.
Yeah. but what it does say is that, we talk about all these things in Norwich and stuff. I'm going to argue and say the thing in Norwich is definitely the flag team. Definitely.
Yeah.
So,
and the logo, the Nomads logo is pretty sick.
Yes. Yeah, albeit I'm going to say that the contact team, Norwich Devils, is a pretty good logo as well. I do like their branding and stuff, but I agree with you. The Nomads logo is tip top.
Pretty good. Good kit. Strong kit. So their home day went very well for them. They obviously, I think they were the team with the big scores today. However, the Chichester Tiger Sharks also put out a pretty good performance against London Spark, 53-45, despite losing an early game against Rebels. And I think Rebels are better than Spark, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way to Spark at all, but what we are seeing here is that Rebels seem to be, they seem to be the London team that's shaking things in that group right now. And the Rebels, who also played Norwich at the end of the day, gave them that closest fun game of the day, 4-point spread. That's a team that had held both other teams that played to just 6 points, but Rebels managed to get 27 on them, which says they're doing something right. I bet Norwich came off the picture like Rebel scum. There you go.
Yeah.
For the beer, it gets worse. There you go. Alan Mead gave me that. Alan Mead gave me that. It's just like it's good for that good luck. He's weird. So, what are you taking away from the table, bro?
I think there's. I think this is a particularly interesting conference. I mean, the Victoria Park Panthers, they're in 5th, but I think their record's 3-1-1. They're only +8 net points, which is a bit of a warning sign in terms of we need to get that offense firing. Albeit they beat the Tiger Sharks 34-27. So I think You've got Norwich Nomads, and I think you've got pretty much everyone else. But yeah, I need to see this one develop a bit more, if I'm honest. I'd like to see it develop a bit more.
With Norwich Nomads, you're right, though. The week 1, they were second in the table. Week 2, they're first in the table. No big change there apart from going up. And now they're in the driving seat. It's theirs to hold on to. VPP, conversely, third, slipping down to fifth, which has been flipped by. Well, I nearly let the cat out of the bag on the next slide.
I've got the same comment.
Team. Yeah,
nearly did the same comment.
That's the difficult thing about merged tables, isn't it? You try not to trip yourself up, but a couple of interesting ones there that we'll come on to shortly. I think if we move away from this, it would only be appropriate to kind of say credit to Tiger Sharks. And I say that with all sincerity, because looking at how they're playing, they're 10th place in the overall table. But what a game they've put up against Spark, 53-45. What a game they put up against VPP, losing, but 27-34. And equally too with London Rebels, who we did just mention a moment ago, has been very good, gave it 7 points to them. So I don't think we've got that same watermark here that we're talking about. We talked about South National a few moments ago. I think it was South National we did that to. I think this one's far more. I think this is a much more compact, much more competitive conference. So right, shall we gander across the South B? We are. We're never going to do it in less than an hour. I promised you less than an hour. We're never going to do it less than an hour.
We're not far off. We're not talking about the tables quite a bit. I reckon.
Tune in next week and we'll give you week 3 results.
I reckon this has the opportunity to be the best time. And for the viewers and listeners, there's always a reason why we try and hit an hour, because we try and keep it in like around about the average commute time. So that you can listen to it in that and then not have to do it in 2 bits. I know that some people might have only an half an hour commute, some people might have more, but that's why we try and aim for that. I would call it the Goldilocks zone. So,
the Goldilocks zone.
Yeah, that's why we try and aim for that hour. But I don't think we'll be far off, as long as I shut up and let you.
No, you do great. So here was, then we could start to let a few of these cats out of the bag. And one of the cats that came out of the bag screaming was the Northants Titans, who went from position number 1 week 1 to position number 7. They've had a tough day. They've had a very tough day over in Cardiff. The results weren't awful. There was some tight results in there, but all the same, just on the wrong side of them. And Phoenix, obviously, being the first team that we talk about in reference to them. Oh no, there was second team actually. The Cardiff Storm first beat them 33-28, then Phoenix beat them 41-20, and before finally the Northants Titans lost their last game of the day against Coventry Panthers 39-33. These are difficult. It's a difficult day for the Titans, to be honest with you, and they're a great team. I'd like to see them bounce back from that, but let's give some respect to the table,
Yeah, and I'm going to say they're possibly unlucky rather than poor. And the reason why I say that is that they are close losses. And if you look at their net points, they're still in a positive net point despite being 7th in the table and having a 2-3 record. So I think they've possibly been unlucky rather than them being gay. I'd never call anyone a poor team because that's not fair, but that's what I mean. I don't think they're a poor team. I think they're just being unlucky.
The only thing that I would say that stands out, particularly in this, is a real up and down day. If you take a look at the Swansea Hammerheads, the Swansea Hammerheads, as we said before, struggled to find their feet. A team that we're used to seeing perform extremely well have struggled to find their feet a lot this year. However, an impressive Cardiff Storm, or anyway, I think an impressive team by looking at the results and teams that have played so far and beaten. They overcame them by 25-22, and then straight off the bat, they get nil point against the Coventry Panthers, 35-0. I mean, that is a yo-yo, and I think that is the Hammerheads' year so far. It's this real, so to speak, streams. Clicks 1 minute, doesn't click the next. What do you think's going on there? I know that they've lost Harvey, and I know things have changed around a bit, but all the same, it's the volatility we're seeing in their results is quite bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, losing Harley, who was a cornerstone to your offense, is going to be a massive, massive loss, and it's clear that there's an offensive problem. So if you think about it, they've only scored 58 points in 5 games, which suggests to me that there's obviously something not quite working on offense there. So I don't know if it's all because they've lost Harley. I think we need to give the rest of the team a bit more respect than that in terms of their ability, etc. But something's not quite firing right on their offense. So it appears anyway.
Well, we'll just have to hope that kind of stabilise itself out. And it seemed to be a bit of a derby there. Swansea against Cardiff. It's not a normal game. There's a bit more at stake, isn't it? So, But all the same, and I think giving credit to Cardiff Storm, having lost that game, taking care of business with the Wolves, 35-19. Obviously, as we said before, taking care of business, albeit by 5 points over Titans Blue at the top of the day, 33-28. So again, quite a compact table structure when we talk about how the teams are performing, where they're stacked against each other. I think South put in all honesty, with the exception of probably the Nomads, Seno could have a real go against anyone on any given game day.
Yeah, I would agree with that, definitely.
Yeah,
interesting. Be good to see how this develops.
Yeah, indeed. Team we haven't mentioned commentary, obviously. Well, the two commentary sides, Phoenix and Panthers. Again, kind of fairly mixed results. Panthers beating Wolves 33-30. Good old close game. Later on, you got Phoenix beating Titans. We mentioned that before, 41-20. And we slide down later on to the 35-0. Panthers won against Swansea. Phoenix, not to be put down, then went up against the Wolves. So we had seen Panthers beat them 33-0. Then we see Phoenix beat them 35-19. I think there's a couple of games coming up between those two that are really locked in for later on in the fixture list. Panthers finishing the day off the 39-33 win against Titans Blue. I think that wraps it up. The only thing, in all fairness, to be said again is I think Wolves having a little bit of a difficult day at the office, 35-19, and disappointing loss against Panthers, 30-33. It's taken them from 6th place in the table down to 8th. They'll be disappointed by that. That's right on the edge of that qualification area for regional playoffs. And they're going to have to get their socks up to make sure they don't get caught up by somebody like the Tiger Sharks. Potentially, they're getting in about it,
Yeah, I think they're better than the record suggests. They've got that competitive edge. I think that's evident to see. But yeah, you're right.
Anyway, Buckinghamshire, Amersham, end of the Metropolitan line, correct me if I'm wrong, has a hexagonal pool table in a pub called the Iron Horse.
Don't say.
Yeah. Really good pint. Really, really good pint. If you ever get stuck waiting for the Metropolitan line at the Baker Street. Do
you know what? I don't think I ever will.
Well, no, you say that, but I once fell asleep on that train and woke up half drunk because of said hexagonal pool table and too many beers. And I woke up and somebody said, "Where are we?" And we're at Moore Park, which is one of the stops in the line into London and Baker Street. Mm-hmm. And I looked at the reflection of the window. I was very, very half caught. And I just read crap room instead of Moore Park. I was like, crap room. It was like, yeah, here we go. But yeah, Buckinghamshire, you're all right. Right, shall we move on? And we are rattling now to the 1 hour mark with table standings ahead of us. We're going to start with the national standings. And this is now starting to take some more shape. We've seen the smoke sitting up there atop still the undefeated team. But now you've got Hornets firing back. You've got Hurricanes up there too. Titans sitting well, having beaten the Crows. Devils possibly looking to climb that table. Lots of competitiveness going on. And then, as we said before, Edinburgh Outlaws well, they went and knocked off the Crows and the Titans. So their position, which is looking like ninth on that table, shows that there's really not much. There's not much going on between ninth and fourth. It's all up for grabs. Yeah.
Yeah,
what you got?
Being honest, I was surprised to see Glasgow obviously below Cardiff, but especially given all that we've said, but they have played less, and it's merely just a percentage issue, isn't it? It's not really they both lost one game, but they've won all the others. So, they'll be fighting it out. The two Manchester teams obviously higher again than what the weekend that has just been played would suggest. So, yeah, again, it's early days, isn't it? It's early days, and we've obviously got the next game days fast approaching. So, I think we'll start to see that take shape a bit more than that. But clearly, London Smoke, Cardiff Hurricanes, Glasgow Hornets are the ones to beat. Who is going to be in that other team that comes into that upper echelon? I'm not quite sure yet.
We're going to see some interesting mix-ups, though. In the game that's coming up, we've got Oil Cats up against Outlaws. That's going to put those two tested against each other. Also thrown into the mix, 3 teams playing up in Aberdeen. And they are the Broncos, the Outlaws, and the Oil Cats, which you have on that table right now as one above the other. Yeah. Interesting. 8th, 9th, and 10th place, all going head-to-head at the weekend coming up, which is great in terms of football. Equally, too, you got that. Oh, my days. If this is right, if my eyes don't deceive me, then we've got another Titans-Crows game, which is come around very quickly, with Glasgow Hornets mixed in there. Again, what we're looking at on our table, there's 3 teams that are stacked very tightly together. So it's almost like the scriptwriters got this one right, didn't they? It's right. So we could see some change. We could see some teams leapfrogging each other. But I think I fancy the way it looked. I fancied seeing if Outlaws can kick on and have another good game day. Good to see them do that. Broncos are going to be real tough, though. Wildcats beating the Hornets. Don't care if they're sitting in 10th place or not. They beat the Hornets this year. That was their whole Super Bowl. That was it. That was like end of season now kind of moment, Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I just, it just seems like a sudden fall after that, though, doesn't it? So.
Yeah, it's Icarus, mate. They got too close to the sun and the wings melted. They were like, "Oh, I can fly," and then something was one of those ones like, "No, you can't." And then things came crashing down. But anyway, let's see if that turns itself out. Shall we take a look at the? I've got these in a strange order now. I think it's Pennorth standings. Sorry to the viewer and listener. I am editing for the first time, so you're gonna have to bear with me in my incompetence. But the North standings. As I say, being a bye week, hasn't been the worst bye week in the world for Border City Centurions Black, who shot up the table because they didn't play, which is always an encouraging thing. So let's just not play again this week, see if we end up in first. But Huntsman now in that leading position. As we've said, I think they're probably the high caliber team. They're the team to beat. I'd say that in all honesty, haven't played them last year. They won the Div 1 Nationals last year down in Manchester. They're a team who's definitely got their eyes set on trying to get to the Nationals, and rightly so. A team that deserves to be there, whatever it's doing. Centurions Black stuck in second place. We're not going to talk about that because they didn't play. So that's just because of faith.
It's because you haven't played any games to lose, whereas the others have. So you've kept your 100% record. Essentially. Yeah. That's not taking anything away from your 100% record. But
but 100% of 2 games is 100% of 2 games is not 100% of 4 games. It's and that is what it is. Serpents slipping first down to third, as we said before. Probably going to be a little bit salty about that game that they had with Warrington. I want to turn that one around, because had that have gone the other way, even with the humongous amount of points scored, they would have still been ahead of Centurions, and they would have been sitting in the worst case second place. Had that have gone the right way. Raptors again, not playing, benefited from the bye week. Congratulations. And then you got Salford Scorpions, who we said before, are making a push. Definitely a great team, former Prem in the old structure. Grangemouth Mustangs, Newcastle Blackhawks. Now this one's an interesting one. Newcastle Blackhawks. They play obviously this weekend. Coming, they've got a couple of games. This is a team that went real close to winning the Winter League. I mean, real close. They pushed to a final game against Top Gun, which is effectively the Hornets. And by virtue of quite a narrow margin throughout the Winter League, we're unlucky not to win it this year. So to see them sitting in that position, they can do better. They're a better team than that. I expect to see them start to climb. Reds, and they knocked off the number one spot going into this. So even though we're mid-table now, still good team. Steel, who, gosh, if you remember a few minutes ago, were within a whisker of giving the Huntsmen the first loss of the year. Bandits, we know are a better team. I think the teams that are struggling a little bit at the bottom end, West Lothian Chargers and Manchester Bees down last place. Again, high hopes of those teams. I don't think the West Lothian Chargers had played together at all this year going into the first game day. So it's a bit of a cold start for them. Let's see if they pick it up this weekend's games. They could pick up a win there and start to move up that table. Manchester Bees, you don't expect to see a Manchester Titans team at the bottom of the table. So again, equally, I would expect a lot of pressure within the Titans organisation, seeing that team push on and pick up some wins. Yet to record the first win of the year, 4 losses, average points conceded 40 points. You want to see the Bees doing better than that, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's I don't know, it's starting to take shape now, isn't it? I think the Leicester Huntsmen are still approachable. I think obviously with the bye week for certain teams, I think it's still hard to say what that shape might look like, but it is starting to take shape, apart from the fact you've got that monster of testing the tiebreakers from Salford Scorpions down to Sheffield Giants Steel, where they've got 50% win percentages. There's head-to-heads in there that does count, I think. And then obviously you've got average points conceded again that is sorting that out. So, yeah, it's interesting table. I think there's a difference in terms of interpretation between the various outlets on how that mid-table should be sorted, where you've got multiple tiebreakers. But this is how we interpret it, and this is how we see it. So it's not official, of course. Official is Buffer Channels, and you know, I think League Republic, albeit I think League Republic scores to use the tiebreakers that we've got. So I can't even guarantee that that's right either. So. Yeah, it'll be interesting till the end of the season.
It'll be interesting what I try to figure out at the end of the year when somebody says something called spell play. But just to kind of just add on to that point, you got a ninth place team there in Sheffield Giants Steel, who by the sake of 4 points lost to the number one place team in that table, and they still put 47 on them. So Steel, who are sitting there in ninth place, took 47 points on the Leicester Huntsmen at the weekend, really made a mess of their average points conceded. And that's a Huntsman at home. You know, that's a good game day. I'd be watching the Steel. I'd have 2 eyes on the Steel if I was playing them coming into the next week, because they'll have taken a lot of positives out of that game. You know, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you look at it, I mean, they've played 2, won 2. Obviously lost 2. Mm-hmm. Second place, Border City Centurions Black, obviously played 2, won 2. So that could easily switch. I'm not saying it will, but that could easily switch.
Yeah. Let's just watch the tables. I think that's been an interesting one. It'd be good to see North B play more than 2 games, to max 3 games. I think it'd be good to see a little bit more football played, because obviously being this far into the season, we're almost at the halfway point. And having that confidence that's had 2 games, you know, is a bit, you know, it's a false illusion in terms of where these tables could really be at. Let's find out.
Yeah.
Right, here we are, 1 minute and 1 hour and 10 minutes in the unedited version, anyway. And we get on to what seems to be, I think, the final slide. So, commuter, just like go one extra stop, stick with us for this, because we are in the French South, which the Norwich Nomads, as we said before, surprised to see them at the top of that table. No. But Coventry teams hot on the heels now. So, yeah, Panthers and Phoenix chasing them down. This is a good table. This is a really compacted table, I think. I know that we haven't got a team that's lost every game, though, okay? And equally to not conceded 40 points on average. And that's Swansea, who we talked about as being volatile this year. This, to me, is a much more compact table in terms of what could happen in here, aside from the Nomads. And I hate to put a hex on it, but the Nomads, in my opinion, I'm going to play it really safe, should finish in the top 8. Yeah, say it. I think they're going to win it. I think the Nomads are going to win this one. And I know we're early stages, but they're very convincing, mate. Very convincing, you know.
I don't know if you can hear my dog in the background, but he's chasing some birds away that are in the garden, so apologies for that. But
good lad. Sorry.
Yes.
What do you think? What's your favorite? VPP, still seeing them sitting in fifth place. That's a weird feeling, isn't it? You know,
it's a very weird feeling, but they're in the mix. So I'm sticking with them in terms of not necessarily favourites, because I think you're right. I think Norwich Nomads will be favourites, but I'm still sticking with them in terms of my favourite in that Premiership South, definitely.
Now you just got to make postseason, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you really, let's not be dismissing about final finishing positions, but if history's taught us one thing, it certainly did one last year. It means nothing. Just get to the knockout rounds, and then on the right day with your right squad, everyone turning up, putting on the best football. You know, you can knock anyone off, and that's the way these things go. So yeah, they're still in there, and as long as they're still in there, they're still VPP. They're still a team you don't want to face in a knockout game. Yeah, simple as that. So just for the sake of the listener, Norwich Nomads are sitting in first place, Coventry Panthers in second, Phoenix in third, London Rebels, who we were cooing about, sitting in fourth place, VPP from London also sitting in fifth, Cardiff Storm sixth, Northampton Titans in seventh, Buckinghamshire Wolves in eighth, Chichester Tiger Sharks in ninth, Reading Diablos, the B team to the Devils, as I've been correctly corrected on, should I say, even though I was trying to be multicultural. And then as we get to the bottom of the table, 11th place, London Spark and the highly volatile Swansea Hammerheads, who we're looking to see a little bit of stability out of. We know that they can be a good team. They've always been there for the last few years at least. So let's just see how that one pans out. But that's your tables in the south. We've been through the North and been through the Natty. I think, aside from going around the block and talking about anything that was left on the table from this week, which I'm not going to do in terms of stats. I want to do stats, but I'm not going to do stats. Because right now the stat leaders are the teams that are putting in their stats. I want to focus on the stats. I'm expecting people to put in stats. TD UK got on side with it this week and started to push for it, saying, hey, Manchester Titans leading the stats board in the Natty, because it doesn't count unless you stat, and it doesn't. I don't care if you're London Storm or the Hornets, the Hurricanes, unless you record your stats, you are not the team. Manchester Titans are, because they put the stats down. And the Chichester Sharks.
Fair enough.
I think we've done. I think we've done. I think if you made it this far, well done. It's been emotional once more. You can have a drink. I would recommend you have a drink now. If you've been affected by anything you've caught on today's podcast as being slightly traumatizing, which slides off your team, feel free to call a help desk somewhere. I recommend the HP help desk. That's called Miller David Printer. Very chatty. Sorry, Alan. We're off. We're done. Anything to add, mate?
No, nothing to add from me.
Are you doing a different podcast as well? With the I see that you're mixing hobnobbing with the greats in other. I saw across the IBB newsroom the other day. You sitting in the corner, hanging out with all the cool kids. And so what's going on with the podcasters?
I'm not entirely sure hanging out with the cool kids, but I did get the opportunity to interview the head of communications of the AFLE, which for those of you that don't really follow the contact side of things, the AFLE is a semi-professional / professional European league that even if you're not into contact, you'll have heard of London Warriors. Well, the London Warriors this year decided to bite the bullet and join a semi-professional, or go semi-professional and join the AFLE. And I interviewed the head of communications ahead of their kickoff for basically the inaugural season, but it was the kickoff of that season. So, yeah, it was a great interview. It was. You'll be pleased. You'll be proud of this. I think it was like 27 minutes long or something like that. But it was really good, really insightful. I watched the 2 games that were played because they've got their own like AFLE Plus, which is like a NFL Game Pass, but obviously for the European games, and it's pretty reasonably priced as well in terms of, I think it was €50, so €49.99 for the season, and it's pretty good production as well, to be fair. So, yeah, if any of you are interested in watching Contact and watching the European semi-professional model, then definitely head to AFLE Plus or the AFLE social media channels. It was great insight, to be fair, into the league and what they've been doing. And I think there's other leagues in Europe now, so it's a bit of a political hotbed in terms of, it was one league, which was the ELF, that's now kind of split into 2 leagues, both of which are pretty good, to be fair, and pretty decent leagues. I'd like to see them as one merged strong league, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. Yeah, it's interesting times for the European football scene on the Contact perspective, anyway.
I was just doing a little bit of research in the background there on said interview, and when the listener can, or where the listener can grab that from. I think the more interesting thing about the Warriors setup is that's a real split in terms of from the status quo. I mean, the Warriors have always been there, but they've certainly been there for the last 15 or so years in terms of right at the top end. But now that they've kind of, I want to use the word graduated, but that's dismissive to other teams. But, you know, I mean, they've kind of moved on to something a bit bigger in terms of an outfit. That's a really interesting one. I wonder, are we going to get some sort of a bowl game somewhere down the line where the team that wins the British National plays these guys, and there's going to be some sort of a friendly or some sort of fixture that gives us a chance to see who really has the bragging rights? You know, that's an interesting one, right?
Yeah, I think it is an interesting one, but I'm not. I think the London Warriors will be focused. There's a lot of pressure with turning semi-professional, especially in the league. You know, leagues have got investors, private investors that I believe the AFLE is one particular family in America who are investing a lot of money. I think they get something like €300,000 per team for 2 seasons.
Wow.
Obviously, there's got to be a return on that investment. So I think the London Warriors, they've had to rush things a little bit in terms of the season probably come a little bit quicker than they would have liked. But they made a solid start. They played, God, I'd have to say, apologies for any Polish listening, but I think it's Wrocław Panthers.
Okay.
Spelled.
You could have just said Panthers. You could just. I wouldn't let you off for that because I ain't going to compete with you in that pronunciation. Good. And also, too, I think talking about leagues getting off the ground this year, we exist in the same universe as the NFFL league. So you know, it's like within context, they've had a pretty smooth start of the season. So you know, I'm not having the ding dong there at Bob and the football, but just saying in terms of emerging leagues and things that we've seen around the contract game, you know. And some of them have managed to set off a bit easier than others, you know.
definitely. I mean, I think the less that I say about that than give my opinion.
Yeah, no, let's not go there. I'm not poking that gear. I'm not poking that.
No, don't do, because we'll end up
just watching you squirm.
lawsuits and everything. But yeah, no. To your point, yes, it's definitely both the EFA and the AFLE look like they've done something right in terms of the doing it right, and I think that's the key difference. So it's going to be great to watch. You got two choices in terms of European contact football, should you wish to watch it.
Anything we will watch this space, because your commentary on it will be available through IBB. You'll be able to get regular updates off the crew. So, I would recommend that to the listener, to the more discerning flag listener who likes to sample the wide variety of American football and foods on the plateau of entertainment that is Inside Britball. But anyway, moving on. You've heard of London Warriors. You know who they are. You haven't heard of Brian Ferry. I think that's my takeaway from tonight.
I'm going to go look up who he is.
Yeah, no, you really should. Wikipedia him. You'll find out he is actually from County Durham. My apologies to saying that he was from somewhere else. I think I accused him of being from another part of the country entirely. But it turns out he's a northerner from working class background. Good on him. Singer, songwriter, musician. Was in Band Aid. This guy was famous. All right, this dude actually did stuff.
He was in Band Aid.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. He was.
When was Band Aid? When was Band Aid?
1982. How do I know this?
19 what? Sorry.
Oh, was it 82 or 85? Oh no, cringe. Hang on.
Well, if he was in, have a look. Yeah.
Band Aid. It's going to give me a list of plasters. Yeah, it did. I put in Band Aid with an E and it gave me a load of plasters. Okay, like take off the E from Band Aid, and then go, no. Okay, no, it's still giving me plasters. Sorry, mate, we're gonna have to check this one offline because the world's biggest musical event has now been replaced with plasters.
Just to round off my point then on that, if it was 1982, then I was 1 year old.
I'd hate to tell you. It was 1984. No, it was 1985. Live Aid it was. Okay. Band Aid was the spin-off, the Christmas thing. Live Aid, Twin Music Festival held on July the 13th, 1985. I remember it clearly. I
was 4 year old, so 4 years old.
A lot older than you. I was a lot older than you. Yeah.
The sad thing is, Nick, there'll be a lot of listeners that were not even born at that point. So...
But the haircuts come back around. And the mullet, they're back in fashion.
They're not, and they never will be. They never were.
But the first indentation was way back then, and it was all because of a Liverpool football player who had a mullet. And looking on it nowadays and seeing all these young men run around, you think yourself, that's quite funny. But the moustache was big too,
As to someone who's married to Kiwi, bear in mind in New Zealand and Australia, mullets are still the fashion. They never went out of fashion. And I would argue that they never were in fashion.
My computer's just shut down on me. It's like, oh, I've had enough of this. Right, okay. We managed to screw up the 1 hour cap there. We just went 12 minutes over by talking about the wonderful things to the side of the piece. Let's knock on the head there. Thank you very, very much for tuning in. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you for supporting us. Please continue to support us by liking this on YouTube, following it on Spotify. Even if you want to make your CarPlay go crazy in the car, you can download Apple iPods and that'll just kick in irritatingly every time you start the engine. Wherever you want to do it, get behind us, support us. This is your show for you. It's all about you. It's all focused on you. And we thank you for being here because you are the most important part of what we do. Hey, there's a cheese strap link. All right, knock on the head. Thanks, guys.